Okay, everybody, welcome back. So in this section, section 7, part 3, we're going to talk a little bit about the inspector, and we're going to look at a couple of more additional tools, and I'm going to walk you through some more commonly used features here. So we're on our edit screen here, like I am. We're going to come over here to the top left-hand corner, and you're going to see this little thing called it looks like the letter I, which it is. Just click on the letter I, left click. And that is going to open up the inspector, and the inspector is going to give us all the information about the track that we have highlighted here, which we only have one track, this sample track. At the top here, you'll have the name of the track. You can change the color by clicking on this little blue section here. If you left click, you have a color palette where you can change the color of the track if you choose to. We have the tempo. We want to follow the tempo of the actual file that was brought in. Or you can time stretch it or don't follow. For now, we'll just keep it follow. Time stretch, we have a group is a group that's not grouped. We don't need to talk about that right now. We have the layers that will be here. And all the pertinent information is here. Underneath here, we'll have our little fader that we can move the volume up and down, which is like a little mini console view, which we'll look at in the next video. We have mute, our solo. This is a stereo track here. We can make it a mono track just by clicking on it, and now it's a mono track, but it's a stereo track. Any plugins or inserts we'll see here, or we can add if we chose to. If we wanted to add some inserts here, a vocal chain effect, it'll bring up a compressor for us and an EQ. Okay, we'll talk about those a little bit later as well, but just so you know, you can put your plugins on there, and I'm going to remove those. And then if you had any sends, like sending this to a reverb or a delay, again, something in a later section. So basically you have your mini console view down here. You have all the other detailed information about the track that you have here. Okay, and that is the inspector. So if you turn that off, it opens and closes just by left clicking. Okay, we'll close it. Right next to that, we have our track list. If we click on that, you'll see the list of all the tracks we have in our session. Now again, we only have one track here, so you'll see it right here, and you can kind of spread this out. You can open or close this if you'd like. We have the color here. Again, we can click. I think we can click there and change it, or no, we can't. We have to do it from here. If we wanted to change that, it'll change here. Okay, this little dot here, if we click that, that will hide the track. It'll be grayed out, or it'll bring it back into visible view. So if you have, say, 30 tracks and there's one track you're not going to be using anymore, you don't have to delete it. You don't want to see it on your edit screen and clutter up your screen. You can just click the hide and unhide little button there, and that is our tracking list. We can close that. Next to our tracking list, we have these little options, this little wrench. If we open on that, here's some more customization features. Again, some we'll go over in later sections of this series. Some of them we will not. I urge you again to experiment with these. A lot of these are somewhat self-explanatory. We can take a look at the way the selection works. You can take a look at these. You can edit it. You can take a look at the editing tools, some visibility tools, and some audio tools as well. Okay, so that's just a little options to customize it to more of your liking. This little button here shows and hides the automation. Okay, now if we click this open here, we remember in the last section I showed you how to use the pencil tool, and we came in here and we're just going to left click. We're going to draw some volume automation in here. Okay. And if I click on this thing, it is going to show and hide the automation. So that just opens and closes the automation, just like this little zigzag here. You're expanding and closing the envelope that they call it, okay? So pretty self-explanatory right there. Okay, now here we have, this is important, this is called our marker track. So we're going to click this little flag here. And what this is going to do, if I were to zoom, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and scroll over. This is going to create a start and an end marker. Now remember, if you go back a few sections where we talked about the new song dialog box, and it asked us what the length of our song was going to be, and I think it defaulted to either 2 or 5 minutes. I said leave it alone. What that's going to do, if you were to zoom all the way out here, you'll see at the 5-minute mark it put an end flag. So the start and the end flag, and you can just move these just by left clicking and dragging, are going to be in your session wherever you, in that new song dialog box. If you put 2 minutes, the start and the end flag would be at 0, time 0, and 2 minutes. If you have it at 5 minutes at the new song dialog box, it'll be, the start flag will be at 0. The end flag will be at 5 minutes, just like you saw here. And these are going to be important for when we export our song later on. We're going to be exporting and using our markers, our start and our end flags here, to select where we want to export our music. So if we had an entire 3-minute song and we're finished mixing and we want to export it, and we'll do this later on, I'll show you how to do it, you would set your start, you wanted to mix down the whole song, you would start at 0, and then let's say our song was 3 minutes long, you'd put the end marker at 3 minutes, and Studio One, when you export that MP3, let's say for example, it'll export everything between 0 and 3 minutes. Make sense? So that's what that is. So I always leave these open, and again, even at the beginning of the song, if you set it to the wrong duration of time, you can just take this and you can move these start and end markers by left clicking and dragging on the timeline. Okay, next to that we have our arranger track. Oh, let's close that for a minute. So you can see the marker track. When I open and close it, you will also see the little marker track up here in gray. The arranger track, same thing. The arranger track is going to allow us to, if we want to add sections, let's say intro, verse, chorus, and kind of arrange our song, we can do that by opening the arranger track and then clicking in the arranger track and left clicking and dragging. See how I'm dragging here? Oh, I think we got to do this with the pencil. Sorry. Okay, there it is. So I put the pencil tool, pardon me, and you can see by left clicking and dragging that duration, it makes our intro. And then if I were to release my mouse and then click over here, let's say for example this was our pre-chorus, our verse, I can drag that out as many bars as I want. That's our verse. If I release the mouse button, re-click, and then put our chorus in, okay, you can do those kinds of things. And you can lay out and map out your song, which we'll do a little bit later as we're building our track. I'll do this for you as well. So the arranger track is really, really cool. And in more advanced techniques, once you have your arranger track set up, you can move entire sections of songs. If you want to put, if you wanted to do intro, verse, chorus, and then later on you decided, well, I don't want to have 2 verses before the chorus, I just want to go intro, verse, chorus, then a second verse, you can easily use the arranger track to move parts of your song around. A little bit more advanced, but just be aware that you can do that, okay? So that is the arranger track. If we come over here, this is going to open the tempo track here. Right now we're set to 120 beats per minute in 4/4 time, but if you wanted to have a song where maybe you had tempo changes during the song, you can open up a tempo track and you can have the tempo changes mapped in. Again, that's something that I use a lot. You may not use it a lot unless you have a lot of time signature changes, but be aware of that's what that is, and by clicking it again, it will close. And then last but not least here, this little plus button is kind of a quick way to add a track to your session. Let's just do that quickly so you can see that. And there's several ways to do this, and you'll see this demonstrated as we move forward in this series. But if you click add track, the plus button, you're going to get the add track dialog box, and we'll talk more about this in detail when we do it. But just be aware that that's how you can add tracks. So that is the inspector and some of the additional tools here along the top. Again, you're going to use a lot of these a lot of the time in a lot of your production, so I wanted to make sure I show it to you. Come on back for the next section where we're actually going to open up the mixer and we're going to take a look at the console, and I'll show you some of the features there as well. So I look forward to seeing you in the next section.